Hi guys, Mark here. Thank you for joining me. In this video, we're going to be making a large rectangular rope mat. It is just the right size for a doormat. The specific mat that I'm going to be demonstrating today is a 4-pass mat made out of 4 pieces of rope. If you're going to use the same diameter rope, your mat is going to be about 2 feet 4 inches long and about a foot and 8 inches wide. Let's take a look at the supplies. To tie our mat, a rope is going to be our primary supply. 4 pieces are going to be used, 1 for each pass in our mat. The diameter of the rope that I'm going to be using is 5/16 of an inch, so about 8 millimeters. Manila or sisal work really well. The length of each of my pieces is 46 feet or about 14 meters. A wooden thread or a Swedish thread are going to be used to splice the ends of our rope together. A bit of tape is going to be used to secure the ends of our rope. Thread is going to be used, again, to secure our rope when we're splicing 2 ends together. Finally, scissors are used to cut the ends of our rope. To make the jig for our mat, a wooden surface at least 2.5 feet long, 2 feet wide is going to be needed. A ruler, a pencil, and optionally a compass are going to help us mark everything down. Nails and a hammer are going to be used to hold our mat in place. These here are about 1.5 inches long. This mat is one of the rare ones where I do use a jig. It helps you keep your tightening at a minimum, plus it provides a nice layout for your mat. So after you've done tying your mat, you don't have much adjustment to do. To make your jig, we're going to nail down a bunch of nails. 7 at the top and bottom, 5 on the sides. Then we number our nails in order to get the tying process. The distance between our nails is about 3.5 inches or about 9 centimeters. So from one nail to the next, we have about 3.5 inches. After we've completed our jig, we simply follow our numbers. So from 0 to 1, then from 1 to 2, from 2 to 3, from 3 to 4, and so on. So a jig is highly recommended. To begin building our jig, we mark down our nail positions. So first, 5 nails on the left. Remember, these are 3.5 inches apart. I mark down the 7 nails at the top next. Then the 7 nails at the bottom, symmetrically to the top. And finally, the 5 nails on the right. Now, nail in your nails. Finally, mark down the numbers on your nails, which are going to basically mark down our tying process. We are now ready to begin tying our mat. We now move on with the tying process. Here we're going to go through our numbers from 0 to 23, then coming back to 0. So first to 1, then to 2, to 3, to 4, going over 1, back to 5, again over 1, to 6, under 2. Here you're going to see me pulling quite a bit of rope through my mat, which in the future I'm going to edit out. From 6, we move to 7, then to 8, going over 3, under 1. Then to 9, under 1, over 3, under 1. Then to 10, under 1, over 3, under 1. To 11, we pass over 2. To 12, we're going to pass over 1, under 3. To 13, we pass under 3, over 1. To 14, we pass over 2. To 15, we pass under 1, over 3, under 2, and finally over 1, reaching 15. To 16, we go under 2, over 3, under 1, over 1, under 1, reaching 16. To 17, we pass over 3, under 1. To 18, we have a simple sequence of over under, over under, over under. To 19, we pass over 1, under 3. To 20, we have a simple over 1, under 1 sequence. To 21, we pass over 2, then continue in an under 1 over 1 sequence. To 22, we continue with an under 1 over 1 sequence. To 23, we have a simple sequence of under 1, over 1, under 1, over 1. And our final sequence, from 23 back to 0, we continue with a under 1 over 1 sequence. Reaching our standing hand, we place our working hand alongside the standing hand under 1, completing our first pass of our mat. We now adjust our mat to make it a bit more symmetrical and to even out our spacings. For the second pass, we fold our rope in half and we start working from the middle of the mat. We work our two ends into the mat, effectively doubling it up. Working this way reduces the amount of rope that you have to pull through the mat. we do our third pass exactly the same way. And finally, the fourth pass is done exactly the same way as the previous two. When you reach 4 passes in your mat, it's time to finish it up. To do this, we're going to short splice our working hands and the standing hands together. You could do this all at the same spot, but usually this bulks up one spot of your mat a bit too much. So we're going to spread our splices apart. So, the first working hand and the first standing hand are going to be joined under here. The second working hand and the second standing hand, let's say, are going to be joined under here. So we pull out our standing hand and we replace it with our working hand. Joining the two ends under here. Then the third working hand is going to be joined under here. So again we remove our standing hand, replace it with our working hand. So the two ends are joined under here. And the last of our ends, so this one, is going to be joined under here. So two ends are joined under here, two under here, two under here, and two under here. So we get a nice spread apart set of splices. To demonstrate the short splice, I'm going to join these two ends together here at the bottom of the mat. I'm going to first secure each end at the middle point of these 4 strands, so here. I'm going to tie a constrictor knot onto each end. So like this, on one end and on the other. Trim your two ends about half a foot from your constrictor knots. Unravel your two ends a bit and secure the strands using a bit of tape. Unravel the two ends up to the constrictor knots. Continue by interlocking the ends. So basically what you want is your ends to alternate like this. So one going to the left, one going to the right, one going to the left, one to the right, one to the left, one to the right. We're now ready to do our splicing. Our short splice is done like this. We start on the right. You take a strand and you pass it over a strand in your rope, then under the second one. So over under. The next one exactly the same way. So over one, under one. The last of our strands, again over one, under one. We turn our mat around and do the other three ends exactly the same way. Our first strand, over one, under one. The second strand, over, under. The last of our strands, over, under. Remove the two pieces of thread like this. This is our first tuck. After the first tuck with each of our strands, I recommend doing one more. Again, tucking each of our strands over under. Now to reduce the thickness of our splice, we're going to taper our strands. So you take one set of strands, cut off the ends, keep half to 1/3 of the thickness of your strands, and splice these ends in. So my first strand, over, under. The second strand, over, under. The last of my strands, over, under. So this side is now complete. Do the other side exactly the same way. So my first strand, over, under. The second strand, over, under. The final strand, over, under. Tighten up all of your strands. Trim off the ends. Do this with all 4 sets of strands, getting a nicely tapered splice every time. And that's the large rope mat. I really hope that I presented the making process clearly enough. Thank you for joining me, see ya next time.